hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here. It's true. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated. It's not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here. It's true. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated. It's true. It's not hate to say that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in this country, came up with a hypocritical desegregation decision 9 years ago, which they haven't enforced yet. That's not hate. That's true.
Your question is having said when an airliner crashed with a number of white people on board, that you were glad it happened.
The white race in this country collectively are guilty of these crimes that our people are suffering from collectively, and therefore they will suffer some collective disaster, collective grief. And when that plane crashed in France with 130 white people off,
no one man should withstand the weight of the world on his shoulders and die when it's over. Ain't no global warming, the world getting colder. Ain't nobody doing shit, they taking our culture. Wake up and see y'all, ain't no balance on one side of the seesaw. We at war with Esau, and ain't nobody down but us. My niggas get up. I know what it's like to wake up fucked up. I know what it's like when the pain cut deep. You can't get on your feet and you just wanna stay asleep. When the shit too much, a nigga needs to roll up. And all you got is this money and this still ain't enough. To live is to survive, gotta hustle to stay alive. My girl don't understand, I can see that look in her eyes. Do not the trouble of soul, I pacify with lies. I inflict the pain and wipe the tears of her cries. Baby, I know you heard an apologies in advance. I just pray to God that he give me another chance. Trying to make it to heaven, I got one hell of a plan. Dancing with the devil makes me a hell of a man. Yeah, I'm trying to be a better man, but my nigga down south won't put me up 200 amps. He told me if I need it, he'll put that shit in my hands. Is that a curse or a blessing, or do I see at the end?
We learned that 120 of them were from the state of Georgia, the state that my own grandfather was a slave in. Why, to me, it couldn't have been anything but an act of God, a blessing from God, and I frankly and sincerely pray for similar blessings from me.
There's levels to this, and I said it like I said it, cause I wanted to hit. I give credit where it's relevant, we better than them. It's evident we set the precedence to elevate men, but we'll never know the eminence killing other black men. And how we supposed to trust the hand we eat off if we hand fed the very poison we feed off? We don't even need all this extra shit they letting us get. It only hold us back from our excellence. Link some, get together, ball, invest in shit. The true value of life. Love my children and wife. Love to all of my niggas who can't be free for the fight. R.I.P. all my niggas who passed on from this life. I love my brothers off the strength, whether he wrong or he right. Let your woman have that glory, baby. I'm wrong, you right. The true glory is through God and how I'm shining my light. Bust down Cartiers to see my sins in the night. Now what I call my darkest hours all depends on the price. I done said it ain't with snakes, I seen men become mice. I let my pen speak my mind the only way I think twice. All that I sacrifice, I shall exceed in this life.
You don't get freedom, people. Freedom is never,
Cheer. Everybody. Hold up. Shalom, hold up. Sunlight. What's good? What's good? We back. We back at it. Shalom, shalom. Hold on, let me grab my coffee. Yeah. Hold on real quick, Sherlock here. Alright. Everybody. With ya. Sounds like it. Alright, we back. What's good? Yep. I know y'all see the title. They're raising hell into its heaven. To every last man. Right? So yeah, we're gonna get into it. Get into this, we still going along that school of thought of the Most High judgment, that is coming to this place, worldwide. We've been kind of dissecting it a little bit, talking about the punishments that these nations, is gonna, go through. Then even the punishments that we as a nation, as Israelites, gonna have to go through, and all that cool stuff. So, we've been going through those different aspects of it, right? And and the thing is, the reason why we title it this way, because a lot of times people think there's a place that people go And if you bad, you go to hell and you be there and you burn forever. If you good, you go to heaven. So that's the concept of what a lot of people got, not understanding that it's Greek and Roman mythology. Heaven, what we think of heaven and earth takes place. What we think about heaven and hell takes place right here on earth. And we know that because even when we do the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, let thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, right? So even we pray for the kingdom to be on earth, right? So, of course, before we get into it, giving all praises to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world probably know as Jesus Christ, right? Get right into it. So, understanding that hell, heaven is a condition, and they all take place right here on this green earth, right? And, we're basically like movies, movie actors. The Most High God is the master writer, director, right, of this movie that we call life, right? And like I said, so we all, he designed the characters, their roles, the script, how everything gonna play out. And we all just living it out according to His will. Let's start with Romans 9 real quick. Go to Romans 9. And start at let's start at 10. Romans 9 and 10. And it say, so this is like the story of Jacob and Esau, and so Paul is briefly going over that history. And so it says this. Excuse me. It says, for the children being not yet born. Let me start at 10. It says, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac. So, our foremother Rebekah, she was pregnant with Jacob and Esau, right? Then it says, for the children not being born yet. So, remember we were saying that this is the Most High God movie. He created the parts, the roles, the script, and how it all gonna play out, right? Then He assigned people to their role, right? So it says, for the children not yet being born, neither having done any good or evil. So meaning Jacob and Esau, before they were even considered to be a person, God already figured out who He's going to make the good guy and who He's going to make the bad guy, right? Who's going to be the good guy, who's going to be the bad guy, right? He already decided what He's going to do with these two nations, right? And just like when any good creator, when you're creating something, you already have an idea of what you want to do with this particular thing, and then you build around that idea, right? So He already had an idea of how He wanted to orchestrate this movie. He wanted to have a good guy and a bad guy, a protagonist and an antagonist, right? For the children not yet being born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to the election might stand. So again, so it's all about how He planned it out, how He wrote it out, who He decided who He's gonna be, who's gonna be the victor, and who's gonna be the loser, right? has already been determined. And it says, not according to works, but him that calleth. Because God already decided he was going to choose the lineage of Jacob, going forward after Isaac, right? He started off with Abraham, went to Isaac, then Jacob, and then his descendants, the Israelites. He already, came up with that idea from going all the way back to, if you want to take it further, going back to Shem, following along the lines of Shem until we get to, Noah. Then he started dealing with Noah. Then from Noah, you get, I said Shem. Shem. Well, hold on, don't get it right. Seth. Following the line of Seth until you get to Noah. Let me get it right. And then when you get to Noah, then you get to Shem. Then from Shem, Eber. Then from Eber, Abraham, Isaac, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So those the people, the main characters that he decided to deal with, right? So it says, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to the election might stand, not of works, but him that calleth. And it says, it was said unto her that the elder should serve the younger. Right? So it says, and as it is written, it says the elder should serve the younger, because if you're familiar with the story, Esau came out first, so he'll be technically the eldest when you're dealing with twins. So then it's prophesied that he's going to have to serve his brother Jacob, and that's coming soon, right? So let's jump down to Let's jump down to 21. And it says, have not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? So, meaning, like how we're illustrating this thing as a movie. So God created certain characters to perform certain acts in a movie, right? You know, a movie director, they have their main characters, they have their supporting actors, and they have their, you know, the extras, right? The background people, right? And so it says, have not the potter have power over the clay? So if you're a potter and you know, producing stuff with clay, right? You're making pottery and other stuff, right? You can mold that clay to whatever you want it to be, and you can use it forever you want it to be. You can take that clay and make a fancy, you know, plate or cup out of it, you know, or a statue out of it. Or you can take that clay and make a ashtray out of it, you know, a garbage, you know, something out of it, something that is used to only to dispose of something, rather than something that's used to, you know, glorify something, to beautify something. So you can do whatever you want with it, right? So that's what God does. Have not the potter have power over the clay, the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and the other to dishonor? So what if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? So God has a class of people that he created, that he uses to express his wrath whenever he's angry, right? And those people is what we call the so-called Caucasian. That is the Most High sword, as it tells us in the book of Psalms. That is his sword of the world. He uses them to go around the world and do exactly what these people have been doing around the world, right? And so he uses that, you know, to express his anger, right? And just like how, you know, like you can have like an artist, for example, right? An artist, you know, they like a person that make music, they might have certain emotions like anger or heartbreak, so they make a you know a classic love song with pouring all their emotions into that song, right? And everybody feel it, like, okay, yeah, this is a very sad love song, right? um so they can make that song and they can just have it and put it in their personal collection where they don't have to put it out. They just listen to it whenever they feeling bad, feeling sad, they listen to it, right? So you can do whatever you want, whatever you create. So it's gonna come upon a time, just like how sometimes, like even like 'cause I used to do music, so sometimes you might write a verse and then you read it a few times, then you crumble it up and throw it in the garbage, right? And never to be seen again, right? Sometimes. So you can do those things if you're the creator. So God created a certain group of people to be disposed at a later time, if you can understand, right? So, and that's just what it is. That's the truth of the matter, right? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Go to Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus. Where I want to start. I don't know. Let's start Ecclesiasticus chapter 1, verse 1. Because, like I said, we got to understand this judgment and how God, do things, right? And it says, one generation pass away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abides forever, right? So, like I said, God passed a judgment on this place. Yes, we got this thing called World War III, Armageddon, where they're going to destroy this whole everything. But it says one generation passed away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abides forever. So this whole big old giant rock thing is not going nowhere. A lot of times people think about, that the world ending and all that stuff, and they think this whole place is just going to go kabooey and blow up into a million, gazillion different, shattered rocks. And we just floating out in space somewhere, right? Nah. When it's talking about this world coming to the end, it's talking about this society and how this world is being ran, right? The powers that be that govern the society and their influence over it is coming to an end. And, it just so happened, it just takes a violent turn for it to end, right? Because it's not going to just go. And so, right? And it says, boom, 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 just jump down to let's get second Peter real quick. Wait, do I want Second Peter? Let's get Psalms real quick. The book of Psalms. Boom, boom, boom. Book of Psalms 115. So this is Psalms 115, verse 16. Even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth he has given to the children of man. Right? So the earth is for us, right? So like I said, so this place is going to be here, right? Because Christ is coming back to, to run this joint, right? So it's not going to blow up and nobody's to see this place ever again. Because Christ is coming here to run the whole everything. Hold on real quick. So it says, okay, no, we don't need that one. Alright, so let's go to Ecclesiasticus 3 real quick. And 16. Ecclesiastes 3 and 16. And it says, moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment. So what's under the sun? The earth is under the sun. So judgment takes place on earth. So again, so when you die, the Bible tells us our spirit goes back to the Father. He judges our spirit. Then whatever judgment, blessing or punishment that comes with it, you live it out in your next life. So when you see that little newborn baby being born into this world, that baby is about to live out whatever punishment or blessing that God laid out for them before they, enter the vortex of the woman womb and enter into this world, right? So that's what we see. So it says, and moreover I saw under the sun a place of judgment, that the wicked was there, in the place of the righteousness, that iniquity was there. So it all takes place under the earth, right? So when you're like I said, so you can see a wicked person just by how they are in their life and the stuff that's going on with them, right? So that's why it says, moreover I saw under the place of judgment, that the wicked was there, in the place of the righteous, that iniquity was there, right? Because heaven and hell is a condition, So it's not a place that people die. And it says, and I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose, even every work. Right? So, like I said, so he judged the righteous and the wicked, right? And it all takes place right here on earth, right? Let's get Second Ezra real quick. Let's get Second Ezra 15 and 35. 15 and 35. It says, for after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifested, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. So again, when you die, your spirit goes back to the Father, you get judged. Then you come, then when you're born again into your next life, you come back as a newborn baby. It says, after death shall the judgment come. So then you live out those punishments or blessings that God, laid out for you in your next life. Then it says, then shall the names of the righteous be manifested, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. So then you can see how people move in this life. Are they a righteous person or are they an ungodly person? Because you can see the judgment that is on their life and how they moving, right? So that's what it means by then it will be declared, because you can look and see how these people is moving, right? Let's get Let's go to jump back up to 1 real quick. So let's go to Ecclesiastes 1 and 10 real quick. Is there anything thereof it may be said, see, this is new? So we can't say, okay, this is new, right? Because it says, it has been already of old time, which was before us. And it says, hold on, let me start at 9. It says, the thing that has been, it is, that is which as which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. Meaning, you know, all this, you know, everything repeats itself, right? We think certain things is new. We think this idea is new. This concept is new. You know, this philosophy is new. No, it's still the same thing. It's just rehashed, you know, differently, right? And can I remember, you know, I was joking with a friend of mine. I was joking about how I'm kind of like Will Smith from iRobot when it comes to you know, technology in a certain way, right? So I was thinking, I'm like, I remember, and this is crazy too. I don't want to tell my age, but it's crazy. I remember when text messaging first came out, when you was able to text message on the phone. And to me, I just thought it was the darnest, weirdest, stupidest idea. Like, why would I want to text message somebody when I can just leave a voicemail, right? Or, you know, or leave back then it wasn't a voicemail. I can just leave a, you know, I guess, did they call it voicemails? I guess voicemail and text messaging came out the same. Because they used to call it, like, because you had a little answer machine thing. But it wasn't called a voicemail. But, you know, I'm like, well, I can just leave a message, you know, on a little answering thing, right? Why would I want to leave? So I just thought, at the time, I thought it was so stupid. And then, then texting, you know, then that came out. Then, it's just like, but then, I know, I say all of that because, to me, in the heart of the situation, this, what they call instant messaging and all that stuff, to me, it ain't nothing but, like, voicemailing or leaving a message, you know, on steroids, you know? Instead of just leaving a voicemail, you can text it to them and they get it right then and there or whatever, how it's supposed to work. So to me, I just thought it was foolish. Because I'm like, it's basically like, it's the same thing. It just, you know, because it says, what it says, says, the thing that has been, it is what which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. So, like, that's why I thought it was stupid. You know, of course, you know, got its benefits, but, you know, just examples like that. You know, just, there's no new thing under the sun, right? You know, we can go to any type of form of technology or any type of gadget and look at the function of it and see that it might be, some of the stuff might be cool. This is why I say I'm like the Will Smith of the iRobot, you know, the iRobot, you know, guy. Because I'm like, certain technology is cool, but when you look at the function of it, does it really make everything better? Because it's still doing the same thing that the old joint did. It just look a little cooler, you know, a lot of times. But hey, but people like the same old stuff, but just giving it to them in a different way. That's what I found out. So yeah, no new thing under the sun. Then it says, is there anything thereof, whereof it may be said, see, this is new. It had been already of old, which was before. Right? So, you know, we can't, you know, make that claim because, I mean, look what we did in a matter of 150 years, right? With the technology stuff. You know, it went from steamboat engines to freaking gasoline cars, airplanes, now electric cars, right? Just in 100 and something years. So imagine these people that lived thousands of years ago, the stuff they came up with, but stuff got destroyed over time and stuff like that, right? And it says, there's no remembrance. So this is the point, right? Because again, we die, we get judged for our past life, and we come back, right? And it says, there is no remembrance of the former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of the things that are to come with those that should come after. So meaning, so as we regenerate back into this, you know, earth, we don't have the memories of our past life, which is kind of good because then that would stop, because then you won't have the stress and and the guilt and the depression of, as you living in this life, because you're thinking about the loved ones you left, the unfinished business that you may have, or whatever the case may be. So we don't remember our past life, even though you have those little schizophrenics that talk about, yeah, I was this person in my past life, or I did this in my past life. Skip those, right? Because the Bible says we don't remember those things. Now, of course, there are certain things naturally about ourselves that we can't explain, that we like or dislike, and we don't know why we like them, don't know why we dislike these things, or so of course we have those things about us. We can't change those things, but just like I said, like me, I always say, like, although you may see me wearing, like, a necklace or something like that, I typically don't like anything around my neck, right? And so I won't even have this on too long. So, because I don't know, it's just naturally, I don't know if it's, like I said, from my past life or whatever, I just don't like things around my neck, right? So stuff like that we can't control, but we don't know why, because it says no remembrance of the former things, right? Let's get boom, boom, boom. Let's get Psalms real quick. Psalms. Start at 104. The book of Psalms 104, verse 28. It says, "That thou givest them, they gather. Thou opens thy hand, and they filled with good." So meaning God is in control of everything, because again, he's the master, movie director, writer. He controls everything. So just like the potter who has the clay and mold it into whatever thing he wanted to be, it says, "That thou givest them, they gather, and thou opens thy hand, and they filled with good," right? So God is the one that blesses. Give out the blessings, right? And it says, "Thou hide thy face, they are troubled." So did God decide to just turn his back on us just a little tiny bit? Don't even look what's going on. Like, just do one of these when stuff is happening in our life, right? Let's do one of these. It'll be all over for us. Because just, his protection, right? And if he just lift it so much, just a little bit, we see what type of hell happened in our lives. When, look at the trouble that we go through when he does lift his protection, right? So imagine if he just totally just turn his whole back, right? So it says, "Thou hide thy face, they are in trouble. Thou take away their breath, they die, and return to their dust," right? So he gives us that life, right? Whenever he decides to look away from us, we go through those troubles, those perils in our life, then we die, right? Then it says, "Thou send forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou reneweth the face of the earth." So again, we recycle the circle of life, right? So again, the spirit dies, the Father judges it. Whatever your judgment is, it says, "Thou send forth thy spirit, they are created." So then you're born again, into that newborn baby. Then it says, "And thou renewest the face of the earth." So then we live again, and we live out those punishments or blessings that God, assigned to us, right? Let's go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 46. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Isaiah 46. So this Isaiah 46 and 10. Because again, understanding that God is like Spike Lee, Martin Scorsese, whatever how you say his name, Quentin Tarantino, Spielberg, all them people, right? One of the greats. It says, "Declaring the end from the beginning. So God knew exactly how he wanted this whole thing to go. He decided who was going to do what and what was going to be what. That's why I said before the children were even born, before they did good or evil, he decided he's going to pick Jacob and hate the so-called Caucasian man, woman, and child. Right? That's what he decided to do. Then it says, declaring the end from the beginning, from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying my counsel should stand and I will do my pleasure. Right? So God said, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Because I do what I want. Right? And he does his pleasure. Proverbs 20 and 24 real quick. And it says, man's going is of the Lord. How can a man understand his way? So meaning, you may think, because we are in the illusion of free will, and I know this is going to be controversial to some because people believe in free will. But we just read that God is the potter and he controls everything. So, and he already did, he declared the end from the beginning, right? So we're just acting out the parts that he already laid out. So it says, man's going are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? Meaning, we have no control over our everyday life, right? We think that, you wake up in the morning and you do whatever task you do that day. You think that's what you put on your agenda. That's just what you're going to do. But that's not how it works, right? That's just not how it goes, because God controls every aspect of everything. And we got to understand that. Have you ever just woke up in the morning and be like, I'm going to do this, or just be like, or maybe the night before you be planning, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you wake up and you don't do none of that. Right? So, and that's just how it goes. So I was looking for something real quick, but so yeah, that's just how it goes. Because the Bible tells us that when we go to sleep, we get our instructions for the next day. So you may have a plan on which, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But, I was trying to think of the exact verse. But the Bible says when we go to sleep, God give us our instructions on what we're going to do for the next day. That's why sometimes you may make a plan to be like, I'm going to do this. Then you wake up and don't do not half of the stuff you say you're going to do. And then you look at yourself like, well, I probably didn't really apply myself. Maybe I should have did this or did that, which could all be true, in our 3D world that we're living in. But on a spiritual side, understanding that God give us our instructions as we lay down to sleep, right? So it says, man's going is of the Lord, right? Hold on, really quick. Alright, where am I at? Oh, let's get Ezra's 4 and 30 real quick. Second Ezra's 4 and 30. Boom, 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 boom. So it says this, for the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. So now, this is talking about, so this word Adam here is talking about mankind, right? So it's not talking about the guy Adam, right? Talking about mankind. And let me use this. So it's talking about mankind. So it says, "For the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning." So it's talking about man, right? Because and how we know it's talking about man, because some people would say, when you look at the story of Adam and Eve with the garden thing, right? So they're like, yeah, sin entered into the world when Eve, saying it how they would say it. When Eve ate the apple and sin entered into the world, right? That's when we started sinning. That's when we became sinners, right? But then, they discount the fact that the serpent lied to Eve, like that wasn't a sin. So what I'm saying is, now we understand the serpent to be a man, not some type of entity, spiritual being. He was a man from a prototype Canaanite tribe. And those people are very intelligent. You can look up the serpent people and how, what they was into, right? And so back then, serpent just mean to be wise. It was a symbol of intelligence, right? So that's why the Bible says that they were, wiser than any other beast in the field, because the Bible describes humanity as beasts when you get into the terminologies, right? So, again, these people, where was that? So, where it says, so it says, so Adam, right? Mankind. And so it says, Adam from the beginning, and how much of the ungodly had it brought up to this time, and how much shall yet bring forth into the time of the threshing come. So again, so now that serpent being of a different nation of people, and so they influenced the people, and they started to sin. So it's humanity. It wasn't like Adam, because a lot of people would take it as the first sin. But this is the point I was making. The point was, what Eve and Adam did was not the first sin. If we have the serpent lying to Eve, so because lying in itself is a sin, right? So that means sin was around before Adam and Eve did what they did, and we already covered this. So what that is telling us, the government of God, so basically Adam set up the government of God at that time, and was supposed to run the earth under the authority of how the Most High God wanted them to do it, just like how Christ is going to do it when he comes back. So that's what Adam was supposed to do, right? But then the sin, or in the first murder, how they call the first murder too, with Cain. So what that is, the government, once the government, say like America set up their government. So the first president was George Washington. So under that establishment of George Washington, whoever, in that perfect union that they made, whoever got the first arrest or the first criminal offense, then you're looking at them like, dang, this person is trying to break up the union that we just established. So it makes them stand out. So that's why it says over here that the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam, meaning mankind, people, period. Because again, the serpent was already sinning because he came to Eve and lied. So it wasn't Eve and Adam that created the first sin, because sin was already around. If we understand that the serpent, which is an actual person, came to Eve with a lie. So that means if lying was around, that means all manners of other type of sin was around also before Eve and Adam did what they did, right? So it says, for the grain of evil seed have been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness have brought up until to this time, and how much shall it bring forth until the time of the threshing come. So, meaning this world has been evil from the beginning. That's why you have to send that flood. And it's saying it's been like that since the time of Adam. And now we're living in 2026, so we can imagine how this world is. Matter of fact, we can look on TV and see how this world is, right? The evilness. So, let's get, I think I want Ephesians. Let's get Ephesians 1 and 4. And it say this. It says, according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. Right? So again, understanding, he, just like how he decided Jacob and Esau fate, he chose everyone to do what everybody is doing. Right? It says, according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation, meaning before this whole thing got established, before the foundation of the world, he has chose us, his people, the Israelites. He said, okay, these people, the black, Hispanic, and Native American people, they gonna be my people, right? Then he says that we should be only holy and without blame forever before him to love, right? And that's what's going on here, right? Having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by the Mashiach Yahushua unto himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Because again, this is his movie, and he's decided on what's going on, right? And just thank God that we are the Israelites and we're not those other people, right? So yeah, so let's get let's go to Isaiah really quick. I think we understand now. I think we understand that God is orchestrating this thing and he's putting the pieces in place for his judgment, right? So this is Isaiah 47. And it says, "Come, sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit down in the ground, there's no throne." So this is talking about America. America's going to have to sit down in that dust. It's going to be brought down to a low state, right? And we see that. We see the decline. Countries is dropping the American dollar. That's why Trump is threatening Canada, over the deal with China. Talking about, yo, if you on that, we're going to send them troops up there with the fighter jets. Because that's dropping the American value of the dollar if they, do that deal with China, right? So a lot of countries, a lot of African countries, a lot of other countries is, Saudi Arabia, they're accepting, trades in other currency outside of America's dollar. That weakens the American dollar because the American dollar is backed off of the Saudis' oil. So now if Saudis now allowing countries to trade oil with their dollars and not the American petrodollar, that weakens the dollar, right? So that's what's going on. So it says, "Come sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit down in the ground, there's no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt be no more called tender and delicate." So everybody's going to start looking at this place like the wicked, wretched place that this place really is. That's why they all looking at this place like you know what, like bullies. Even Britain, America's longtime ally, friend, one of their political radio show hosts, talking about, man, you know, we're gonna have to start looking at America as an enemy, yo. Like, we're gonna have to start reconsidering our relationship with these people, right? They looking at America like this 1776 again, right? So these people are getting tired of this place. That's why we can read it in Daniel that, you know, this kingdom is going to be split. You know, we can read in Obadiah how the people that he think is cool with them is going to turn on them. We can read that in Revelation, how they're going to burn her with fire, right? So we can see these things. It says, take the millstones and grind and grind mills, overcover thy locks and make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. It says, expose this wicked place for what the heck it is, right? Tell the whole world, everybody, that this place is a habitation of devils, right? The wicked of the wicked, right? It says, tell the millstone in the grind mills, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh. So, you know, look at this as a woman, right? You know, if we live in a perfect world, we have conservative women. So now, you know, back in the day, you know, back in the little Western days too, you know, the women used to wear those long dresses. You know, it was considered sexy if the woman started showing a little ankle meat right there. You got a little ankle popping out. You know, look at that little ankle bone right there looking sexy, right? That was a thing, right? But then imagine the lady starts rolling that dress up a little more. You start seeing a little calf. Hey, look at a little calf meat. You know what I'm saying? She got a little calf muscle. Oh, shoot, look at that. Oh, I see a little knee meat. Oh, she got wrinkles in her knee. I knew it, right? Dark circles on the knees. So people start, you know, so picture it like that. A woman slowly revealing herself, exposing her nakedness. You start to see everything. And that's what's going on. The world is starting to see everything about this place. That's why they're complaining, right? When you get on the news and see, you know, Britain calling this place a bully. Canada talking about we ain't letting these people tell us what to do and who to deal with, right? Greenland talking about if they come over here, we're going to fight, right? So it says, make the leg uncovered, make the leg uncover, or make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Meaning their wicked ways, who they truly are, is going to be known. People are going to start to see it. That's why I tell us the son of perdition, you know, must be revealed. And he's being revealed. Everybody's starting to see that these people are very detrimental to the life of this planet. Everybody is realizing that. And it's just that everything is so intertwined. The systems are so connected. It's hard to just break free from it. You're going to have some bloodshed to break free from that. That's what World War III is about. That's what Armageddon is about. Because these people are like Bruce Willis. They're going to die hard. You know, they die hard. They're not going away. So it says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, the shame shall be seen. I would take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. It's one of my favorite verses right here. Hold on. Hold on. Let me warm this up real quick. Come back. Gotta get some heat. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. So like it. But yeah, one of my favorite verses, cause it's like some real gangster stuff going on right here. This is what God is saying. Where we at with it? Because this is some real gangster gutter. It says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. What do that mean? God is saying, I'm not fighting you guys' head up, right? You people, I'm not fighting your head up. You know how people be like, man, fight me one-on-one. What you need all of that for? Why you need that? Fight me one-on-one. God is like, nope. I'm bringing all the host of heaven. I'm bringing all my splendor and power. And I'm going to destroy you people. I'm not fighting you like a man. I'm bringing everything I got. You know, I'm doing all types of manner of trickery, right? I'm going to pick up sand and throw the sand in your eye. Blind you a little bit. You know, take my fingers and stick it up your nose and, you know what I'm saying? The eye gouge. You know, do the little eye gouge, right? Thumb to the eye, right? Kick to the groin. That's how the Most High God is coming, right? Because he said, I would take vengeance and I would not meet thee as a man. Meaning he's not playing fair with these people. It ain't gonna be no heads up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't shooting a fair one with these people. Right? That's not how God is coming. He ain't shooting a fair one. It ain't gonna be a fair one. Right? Then it says, As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name. It says the Holy One of Israel, right? And that's who blasts for us. That's who get down, right? We got a God that fight for us, and these nations know it. We can read about it in the book of Judah. They know that we got a God that fight for us, and he's coming back, and he's going to destroy these people. And he told them that I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Meaning, it ain't going to be no, hey, hold on, time out. Let me tie my shoe. It ain't going to be none of that. Hold on, time out. Let me take this off my pocket. Hold my phone. None of that. But like, hold on, take my coat off. Soon as you taking your coat off, Most High God is rushing you. Soon you got your shirt over your head trying to take it off, he on you, stumping you out, right? It's no fair. Not a fair game. If I was them, I wouldn't even fight. But they gonna fight. Over here, let's jump to let's get where I want to go. Let's go to verse 10. It says, for thou hast trusted him in thy wickedness. Thou said, none see me. So that's what happened. America trusted in their wickedness, their ability to dominate and control other nations and countries because of their military. And they say, what do they say? None seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it has perverted thee. So they done pumped themselves up with their own confidence, their own false wisdom and knowledge, thinking that they are the greatest of the greatest, the wisest of the wisest. They know what's best, right? It says, thy knowledge, it has perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. That's what they say. They say, I am. I am he. You know what I'm saying? I am him. They feel like they are the cream of the crop, right? They feel like that they are the best of the best, right? And they said, I am, and there's none else beside me. And they act like that. That's what we call white privilege, right? They act like they stuff don't stink. They act like, that's why it's so amazing and that they've been pulling this I am stuff for so long on us. You know, when we get shot by the police, in that fashion, for just being black. And they come up with all manners of reasons why we should get shot by the police. And then you have the you know, you have their constituents like, yeah, you know, I guess, you know, hey, he had a gun. Maybe he should have listened to the officer. You know, maybe pay attention. You know, well, why does he? You know, he should have just paid attention. You know, listen to the officer, follow orders, right? And it was cool to say that to black people, right? Fernando Castile, a gun owner, license to carry, all that cool stuff that you need to have a gun. But they killed that brother. And they made him look like a criminal for having a gun. Right? That's what they did. But this guy, right? Up in Minnesota, right? He's a Second Amendment hero dude. Like, NRA is coming out like, yo, what's going on? NRA didn't say nothing with Fernando Castile, right? They didn't say nothing. Right? They didn't say anything. Right? It says, thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else. So that's why they do these things. But it's, Most High God got a good sense of humor. Cause they tried that bull stuff with that lady in Minnesota a few weeks ago. Then this guy was like, well, he had a gun. He had a gun. He shouldn't be at a protest with a gun. And they've been using that line so long because they're so used to killing black and Hispanic people and then saying stuff like that. Then white people are like, hold on, this is a white man though. They like, oh yeah, true that. Yeah, shoot, we got to come up with something else. He was a terrorist. He came there on purpose to do it. You know, so they come up with other stuff because it's like, dang, we can't say he had a gun because there's a lot of black people that had license and legal to carry, and we shot them and we made them look like, damn. So we gotta, oh God, we messed up, right? And it's kind of crazy to watch, funny to watch, right? Of course, loss of life is not funny, or, you know, that's messed up. We get that, right? We're talking about the hypocrisy of these people, right? So it's crazy. That's why they say, what they say, I am and none else beside me. Because they don't believe that they can get punished for anything that they're doing, right? They don't think there's a wrong in that, right? And they've been, like I said, they've been operating like that for so long. When they do that to white people, they don't know how to fully respond, right? And it's looking crazy. And it's so funny that, and I hate that we have to talk like this because this been happening to us forever. But we always say white people don't care. White people have no compassion unless it's something that affects them. When white people are in pain, then that's when they can understand. White people will never understand the pain and the plight of black and Hispanic people until it starts to happen to them. Right? And that's what we're witnessing. Let's get the Book of Psalms real quick. And right here it says hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Right? And that's what we, you know, pray, to preserve our life from these people. Right? Because these people is on a warpath. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who with their tongue is like a sword, and bend their bow and to shoot with arrows, even bitter words. Right? They may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly they do shoot him and fear not. So they don't, you know, like I said, you can be a well-to-do black person, educated, all that cool stuff, dressed nice, fancy car, But it says they may shoot in secret at the perfect. So they would work to even take you down. You be at your job, got a nice little corporate job, you know. Then you got the people behind the scenes working to try to either stop you from advancing or probably get you fired, right? Because it says they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly they do shoot him and fear not. And they don't care about their consequences. They don't care how many people they have to take down for them to preserve whatever they trying to do, right? They don't like it because, again, they have no compassion unless it happens to them, right? Everyone else is like whatever. There's no feeling. But if it's something that happens to them, that's why I was jokingly saying that, like, if we had a couple, for our movement to take off, we need some drunk white women. Drunk white women and crying white women can really help this movement, you know, advance, you know, because people love crying white women and people are scared of drunk white women because they will fight you. Drunk white women are violent. Don't ever forget it. Very violent. So that's what we need. Put them on the front line. Put all the little drunk, violent white women on the front line for the fight. Right? Let them take the licks. Let's get so let's keep going. Is that it on that? Okay, yeah, that's it on that. So verse 11, therefore evil shall come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it rises, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee, and suddenly thou shalt not know it. And that's what's going to happen. It's just like that, sudden destruction, right? Because this place is going to end up stretching itself thin. You know, they trying to be in every country, messing with everybody. It ain't going to be nobody to protect the homeland, right? You're down in South America, trying to go to Canada, trying to go to Greenland, over there in the Middle East, right? The same way how Rome fell, because their army got stretched too thin, trying to fight everybody, right? And you start stretching your army too thin, then that's becomes a logistic problem, because now you got to get supplies to all these different areas that's all spread it out, right? So it's crazy, right? So it says, let's jump down to 14. It says, behold, they shall be as stubble. Fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. So again, when Russia, Korea, China, when they decide to push that red button, it's Trump's Golden Dome. We got the Golden Dome. We're gonna put the Golden Dome. The Golden Dome is gonna be a piece of crap. It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna stop not one single missile. This place is gonna be wiped off the map. Sorry to tell you folks, the Golden Dome is really nothing but a piece of wood, cardboard box. It's not really a dome at all, right? Because it says, behold, they shall be as stubble. Fire shall burn them. So their little missile defense system is not going to be, you know, doing its job in that day. Their missile defense system is not going to be defending nothing in that day, right? It says, behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. Because they got some stuff over there. Them ICBMs, those hypersonic gliders. They got some stuff over there, right? They got some stuff. Then it says, there shall not be cold or warm nor fire to sit before it. Meaning this fire is going to be, you know, there's no type of fire that's going to be able to match this type of heat that comes from this thing, right? Obadiah 1:18. say. Let's see. And it says this, Obadiah 1 and 18. The house of Jacob shall be a fire. So that's talking about the southern kingdom of Israel, right? And the house of Joseph a flame, the northern kingdom of Israel. So God is going to use us as that flame, that fire, right? And it says, and the house of Esau. Who is Esau? The so-called Caucasian man, woman, and child. And Esau should be for stubble. What's stubble? Look at the bottom of your grill in the summertime. You see how the charcoal burns so fine that it look like sand, right? That's stubble. Then it says, and Esau should be for stubble, and they should kindle in them and devour them. We're going to devour these people. And it says, and there should be not any remaining of the house of Esau. Meaning they're going to be eradicated, right? Obliterated. Never to ever be visitated, right? And it says, and they should devour them, and should not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Because this is not my words. We're not saying this. Who's saying it? For the Lord has spoken it. God said it. That he's going to destroy this nation of people off the planet. And never ever be seen again. Next time we're talking about them is around a campfire. Like, hey, you know, some people that used to walk around, we used to call them clear people. You know, they used to walk around. You know, legend has it that they glow in the dark at night. They didn't have street lights in their neighborhoods, and they used to walk around glowing. Then, because they didn't have street lights in their neighborhoods, if you're black, they'd probably shoot you because they couldn't see you. Right? So you're going to be telling stories like that at the campfire about these people. They're going to be a memory. They're going to be a museum exhibit in that great day. It's not my words. We can read it. And it says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord have spoken it. Right? That's how it goes down. Let's get Isaiah's. No, we don't need that. Let's go to let's go to Revelation real quick. Revelation 18. Let's start at 8. Start at 6, matter of fact. Let's start at 6. So it says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. So all the evil that these people have perpetuate throughout this earth, God is going to double that back onto them, right? And you know, we're going to start seeing it, you know, massively. You know, all the stuff that plague our community coming up is going to start to affect them. That's why they have a opioid addiction, you know, out of this world, to the point that it's affecting their birth rate, right? You know, that's why in these recent weeks we could turn on the TV and see the rise of white on white crime against each other, the violence of these people, right? Where is their fathers? Why don't they do something for themselves? They need jobs, right? You know, we can see the rise of that, right? It says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she have filled to her double. So it says, look, make sure you get her fully drunk and ready, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the little grimy dudes that be at the party trying to take advantage of the woman. Like, let's get her, let's make sure we keep feeding her liquor, get her all drunk, right? Make sure she all ready to go, right? It says, in the cup which she filled to her double. So God says, whatever, get her. We're gonna get this place really, really loose. Give him a double shot. We're gonna tell her it's one shot, but it's really a double shot. Go ahead, right? Let's go back to our dear brother Obadiah, right? Our dear brother Obadiah be speaking the truth. Let's go back to him. And he says this, Obadiah 1:15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all heathens. Right? So God is coming back to judge this place. And as thou hast done, it shall be done to thee. So as you have done, it's going to be done to you. That's called justice, right? If anybody can understand it, that's called justice. We serve a God that is all about justice. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathens. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. Right? And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see their reward be turned upon their own head. Right? And ain't going to be nothing they can do about it. Hold up. Let's get this, Isaiah, hold on. What when I say? No, Jeremiah. Let me see. Hold on. So yeah, Jeremiah 49:16. Because this place, like I said, we gotta understand this place very, very crazy. Because it says, let's read this one more time. For the day of the Lord is near upon all heathens, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. Right? So over here, it says, thy terribleness have deceived thee. Because their power, their might, I think that's why Donald Trump can get on TV and be like, he likes Canada as the 51st state. He can call the Prime Minister of Canada governor. Right. The governor of Canada. I demoted him. He was Prime Minister. He's governor now. And as I become president of the Venezuela. Right? That's why you can say those things, because what it say? Thy terribleness have deceived thee. Because their military power has deceived them, make them think they can do whatever. And the pride of thy heart, and thou that dwell, and okay, you don't know what we talking about, because everybody, but well, it could be anybody. So can it be anybody? We know history, right? We know a little bit of world history. Who comes? When we think of cavemen, who do we think of? Think of them people, right? Think of them people when we think of the caveman. When we watch the little Geico commercials and see how easy stuff was that a caveman can do it, we think about them, right? Right? Of course we do. It says, thy terribleness have deceived thee, thy pride of thy heart. O thou that dwell in the cliffs of the rocks. Oh my God, are he calling them cavemen? That dwell in the cliffs of the rocks. That highest of the who holdest the height of the hill, thou should make thy nest as the eagle. I bring thee down from hence, said the Lord. Because these people used to love climbing on those mountains. find them a little cave to carve out and living in there with inside that hole of the mountain, right? They love that stuff, right? It says, thy terribleness have deceived thee in the pride of thy heart, because nobody's more evil and demonic and diabolical and prideful as these people. O thou that dwell in the cliffs of the rocks, because these are cave dwellers. We do know what a cave dweller is. They're called Caucasians, right? A Caucasian is a cave dweller. That's the word, right? I didn't make that up, right? I'm not that mean. That's what that means, okay? And it says, that dwells in the cliffs of the rocks, holdest the height of the hill, though thou make thy nest as high as the eagle. Because again, and I've been wanting to do a lesson on this, because just to bring it out, the history of Edom, to show how their deity is the eagle, why they always throughout history have that eagle representation on their flag, on their emblems, on their seal, on everything, because it all goes back to the eagle with them. So it says, whose nest is high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from hence, said the Lord. Right? So, talking about these cave dwellers, these Caucasians, right? Right, to be properly said, or how the Bible call them, Edom. Right? Let's get, in case you don't understand, in case you need a little more convincing, let's get this real quick. Let's get our dear brother Job. What did Job have to say about these people, right? Maybe Job can help us understand. What did Job say? What did Job have to say about these people? It says, but they that are younger than me, this is Job 30:30. It says, they that are younger than me have me in derision. So you're getting made fun of and by these Edomites that's probably some young boys messing with this old Hispanic man. I'm gonna call him Hispanic. I know people will be like, some people will be like, well, Job wasn't. I'm saying he was part of the tribe, right? Now that's another story. We ain't gonna get into that. Job was an Israelite. And it says, so they making fun of our old black Hispanic brother, right? And it says, I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to set with my dogs of my flock. So he's saying these people are so disgusting, so vile, so wicked, I would not let them sleep in the same place I keep my dogs, right? And so that should let you know the character of these people. Because we should know that we cannot leave them alone with animals, right? They're either going to kill it or have intercourse with it, right? We can't trust them. Job knew this stuff, right? Job knew it. So it says, I would have disdained to have set with my dogs. Yeah, thereto might strengthen their hands to profit me, whom old age was perished. It says, now you get into the history of these people. And it says, for one in famine of solitary, fleeing into the wilderness of the former desolate waste. Right? Because these people were desert people living in the desert, down there in Jordan, Petra, Mount Seir on the rocks, right? Esau on the rocks, right? Sound like a drink down in Esau on the rocks, right? Living in the caves, being a cave dweller, right? Being the best cave dweller they can be, right? It says, for want and famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness of the former desolate waste, who cut up marshes, mellows by the brushes and jumper roots for meat, because these people were savages. These people, they want to come over here and call people savages and uncivilized. These people was eating dirt and roots from bushes and just berries, right? Just finding little stuff on bushes and eating it. Don't even know if it's poison or not. Just eating it, eating bugs, eating ticks and lice off of each other. That's what they do. They did it then, they do it now, right? And it says, they were driven forth from among men, they cried after a thief to dwell in the cliff of the valleys, in the caves of the earth. Because again, they came out of them damn caves, them damn cave dwellers. They call them, they stuff that. Right? Then it says, caves of the earth and in the rocks. That's where they came from. And it says, among the bushes they brave, meaning they made animal noises. They make weird little noises. And they do that, right? Especially when they get drunk. Get one of them drunk and just listen to them. They start making little weird noises. That's where the yeehaw, the ahoo, they make all these animal noises. That's what brave means. It means to make animal-like grunts and sounds, right? Go down to Kentucky, right? Go down to the Appalachian Mountains. Check out them hillbillies down there. See how they talk and act. Get them in their natural habitat, right? We need to get like a black National Geographic channel and go watch them and see how they act, you know? They be like, hey, how you doing over there, Earl? Hey, not too much over there, Earl. Hey, I'll take 2 Cali and your county over here. You know, that's how they talk, right? You know? Like, hey, I reckon gonna get some. I reckon we might get some rain here this afternoon. I don't know about that. You see that, Jimmy, here? Right? That's how they talk, right? Catch them in their natural. We need a camera on them, right? Somebody need to get on that. We need a whole channel dedicated to watching these damn hillbillies be hillbillies, right? Watch them be savages. Gonna make some moonshine in the back of the tub, in my tub. Right? So, I imagine some would say. So, it says, among the bushes they brave, meaning they made animal noises, they grunt. You know, they, They brayed under the nettles. They were gathered together. They were children of fools. That's what upsets me the most. These people are dumb. And we are forced to listen to them because they're in control. They are children of fools. Yeah, children of base men. So God is saying that these people are the base of human society. They are the low class of human society. Think about it. Look how they naturally are. You know, take away the fancy suit and the Gillette razor from them. Right? Take away their Gillette razor and their little 3-piece suit. What do you have? Right? You have children of fools. Yeah, children of base men. They were valor of the earth. That's what we have, right? Because that's what the Bible say they are. It's not our personal opinion. We can read it in the scriptures, right? And we know who Job was talking about. He's talking about the Edomites. So-called white man, woman, and child, right? So we got to understand that, right? Back over here, Revelation 18. And it say, where are we at? It says, reward her, reward her even as she had rewarded you double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she filled her double, right? Hold on 1 second, say like here. Peoples. Anyways, lucky. So, where we at? Let me get let's get where I want. Let's get Amos real quick. Amos 9 and 11. And it says, "In that day I will rise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build as in the days of old." Meaning he's going to preserve his people, bring us back, and save us at the end, right? As he judging these people. And it says, they that may possess the remnant of Edom. So then we're going to possess these people when it's all said and done, right? Just like they possessed us for 500 years. We're going to have to possess them for about 1,000 years, because the Bible says we warned her double. Then it says, they may possess the remnant of Edom. So after World War III, Armageddon, the survivors of those people is going to become our captives. And it says, in all of the heathen, so not just them, the rest of the world, right? We ain't leaving everybody else out, because, God is fair, because all these other nations had a hand in our, downfall as a people as well. So it says, they may possess the remnant of Edom and all of the heathen, which are called by my name. Meaning those that survive after the survivors, after this World War III thing, the ones that's crawling out of the holes and their bunkers, and we got a special place for them. And it says, behold, the day comes, said the Lord, the plowman shall overtake the reaper. So it's going to come upon a time where the slave is going to overtake the overseer of the plantation. So it says, the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seeds, and the mountain shall drop sweet wine, and the hills shall melt. And that sweet wine ain't talking about sweet wine. That's talking about blood spill, right? And the hills shall melt because of that thermonuclear fire, right? That's what's going on around here. That's good. Let's get Isaiah 14. Because we just said we was going to, take them captive. And the Bible backs itself up. We just got to read it. Isaiah 14 and 1. It says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob," which is the Israelites. He's going to, when it's all said and done, he's going to save his people. Right? And it says, "And yet choose Israel and set them in their own land." So we're going to get set in our own land. "And the strangers," because we just read about the heathen and all of the heathen, "and the strangers shall be joined with them." So they're going to be joined with us, right? Then it says, "And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." And they're going to cleave to us. They're going to be, dependent on us in that day. "And the people should take them," just like we depend on America today. We're trying to see what they're going to do. They got another government shutdown that might happen tomorrow, right? So we're cleaving to them. We're dependent on them. They're going to depend on us in that day. "And the people should take them and bring them to their place." So we're going to take them and bring them to our place, like they took us and brought us to their place, called America, and other places. Then it says, "And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord, for servants and for handmaids. And they shall take them captive, who captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors." Right? That's what it says. It says, they shall rule over their oppressors. They shall take them captive, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Right? That's the destiny for this place. right? And for his people. Back over here. So it says, let's get Isaiah 63 real quick before we move on. And it says, who is this that's coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? So this is Christ, the Mashiach Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, coming back from destroying these people, right? Himself. And it says, that is glorious in his apparel, traveling with greatness of his strength, because he's coming with the millions and millions of angels. And it says, and I speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat? So he's asking Christ, like, yo, you got a nice little white garment on, but why are you so bloody? Why are your clothes so bloody? And he says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and the people there was none with me. I would tread them in my anger, and I trampled them in my fury, and their blood sprinkled my garments, and I will stain all my raiments of clothes. So Christ, Jesus, he got a whole suitcase of clothes that he brought with him, that he just brought to get dirty. He's like, look, yeah, I got my nice little white garment dirty, messing with these dang old Edomites, but I got a whole suitcase of clothes. I'm about to go change out of this, and they're going to get dirty too. Because he said what? He said, and their blood shall sprinkle upon my garments, and I will stain all the raiments up, all my raiments, meaning all his clothing is going to be stained with their blood. So let me change out of this. I'm going to put on some other little robe. We're going to get this one dirty too, with their blood, right? That's the Mashiach Yahweh Shai that we serve. That's my Jesus, as they say. That's not my, that's my Jesus, right? Let's get back to Revelation. And it says, how much does she glorify herself, live deliciously? So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit as a queen. That's what America thinks. They sit as a queen, right? That's why they, can talk the way they talk and act like no country's going to do anything to them. Because they sit as a queen. Queen is dainty. It's pretty. It's not grimy, they're not getting into, but so that's how they think. They think nobody's going to come and do anything to them, right? They're untouchable. It says, and I am no widow, meaning that, we ain't going to lose no war. We ain't going to lose no soldiers over here. Our army is straight, you know what I'm saying? So it says, I am no widow and shall see no sorrow, meaning we like I said, we ready for war. We battle tested, we battle ready, right? And that's what America feel. They feel like they can take on any country in this world and win, right? Then it says, therefore her plague shall come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord that judges her, and the kings of for strong is the Lord that judges her. So, because again, these NATO countries, they're NATO allies, these EU people, they're going to end up turning on these people slowly. You already see Britain is talking about calling them an enemy. France is looking at them crazy. Canada, like, okay, whatever, right? So, you have these different splits that's taking part into NATO, right? Then America is talking about, you know what, we want to leave NATO. We're thinking about leaving NATO anyway, right? That's why I was, making that comparison, a few days ago about America is like Marlowe, when Marlowe got into the co-op in the TV show The Wire, right? He got into the co-op and broke all that stuff up, right? And that's what they're doing. They're going to break this whole NATO stuff up. That's why I tell us that the beast shall hate the whore. The beast is NATO and the whore is America. And they're going to end up hating her, and it says it's going to burn her with fire, right? We can see how all of that is building up when we turn on the news, right? That's why we know this thing is true. Then it says, Therefore her plague shall come in one day, death and mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord that judges her. Right? And that's what's going on, because strong is the Lord that judges her. Right? And it says, this is Revelation 14:8. It says, there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of wrath of her fornication. So because America influenced in around the world and how they're, causing, this, how they're operating and running this whole thing. Because again, we see how this whole place is being ran, and it's on their watch. And it says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Right? So America's influence stretches all over the world globally. And, and then what happens here affects, other places globally as well. Right? So, and when this place is, taken down, it's going to, affect a lot of places, right? And that's good. Second Ezra real quick, 16. Second Ezra 16 and 13 real quick. And it say, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. Again, when the Most High God put the spirit on the Russians to push the button all the ways, and on Korea and China and Iran, it says, strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. Meaning, the platinum dome that we're going to set up, fellas, got the platinum dome. Platinum dome is going to be great. But the Bible just told us, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. So the platinum dome is going to be like worthless. The platinum dome, it's not going to be a dome. It's going to be like a napkin. How about a napkin? Yeah, a napkin. That's what the platinum dome is going to be compared to this. Because for strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that shoot are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to shoot into the ends of the world. Right? So when China shoot their intercontinental ballistic missile, their little hypersonic glider thing from the end of the world, it would not miss. Right? Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. So all this stuff is going to happen that God said is going to happen. And it's not going to not happen because we don't want it to happen. It's going to happen because God said it's going to happen. And we got to accept it and understand it. And the fire is kindled and shall not be put out until it consume the foundation of the earth. Right? With those thermonuclear warheads. Right? So back over here. And say, hold up. No, do I want that one? Let's see. Okay, now yeah, we read that one already. Okay. Let's get this though. Okay, yeah, alright, hold up. Oh yeah, okay, we can just continue. Boom. So it says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. So when this place finally destroyed, all the nations that deal closely with this place, that do trade and business, and look at this place for their survival, they're going to be, decimate. It's going to be very, because they depend on this place, and they're going to be just as much as destroyed because they depend on the goods and the prosperity of this place for their survival, right? So it says, the kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, and they shall see the smoke for her burning. So they're going to be very sad that their partner in crime is no longer around. So stand far off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for 1 hour thy judgment come. Right? And that's interesting because, again, Russia has a bomb, a missile that can reach over here in 45 minutes. China has a similar, missile that does the same thing, 35 to 45 minutes. And interesting enough, our dear brother John is telling us that this place is going to be destroyed within 1 hour. Right? 1 day, 1 hour. Right? So that's pretty interesting. And it says, the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Meaning, like I said, this place is not going to be, that great export place where they, exporting out and, shipping stuff in and all that stuff. The little ports over there in New York, people sometimes go to New York to get clothes cheaper. They go down to Miami, get stuff a little cheap because that's where the ports and stuff at. It ain't going to be none of that in that day, right? This place is going to be a wasteland. It says, the merchants, the merchandise of gold and silver and the precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thy wood and all manners of vessels of ivory and all manners of vessels of most precious wood and brass and iron and marble. It's all gone. No more ever to be seen again. Right? There's no more precious, glorious anything from this place, right? None of those. And that's good. Let's get boom. Hold up. Okay, right here. Alright. So yeah, let's jump to let's jump down to verse 20 real quick. Revelation 18 and 20. It says, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets. And that's what we're going to do when this place is finally destroyed. And we get, saved from this place. Saved from the destruction of this place. Right? And as we're, in our state of salvation, it says, rejoice over her, thou heaven and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. So God is going to avenge all the death, all the struggling, all the pain and suffering that our people went through because of this place. He's going to revenge us, and that's why he's destroying this place, using World War III and Armageddon as his main way to do so. It says, for God has avenged you on her. And that's all we want, right? We just want justice for everything that we went through, and God to put vengeance on these people for what they have done, right? And of course he is, because he's a God of justice. If you don't think he's going to do anything, then you've been sadly mistaken, right? Let's get over here. Just jump to chapter 19. And let's start at let's start at 11. It says, and I saw the heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness. So this is the Mashiach Yahushai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. So it's called, so I saw in heaven open, behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he do judge and make war. So this Christ is coming to judge and to make war. He's not coming back hugging and handing out lollipops and teddy bears to everybody. He's coming to judge and make war. The Jesus of this Bible, right? So it says, his eyes were as flame of fire, and his head were many crowns. And why does he have many crowns on his head, right? They call him the King of Kings, right? Why does he have many crowns? Because he went to Russia, destroyed them niggas. He went to Europe, and whoever got they over there took them out. He came over to the Americas, took them out. Whatever nation that called themselves a nation, he destroyed them. Destroyed their government. And now he's the king. I am the captain now, right? Look at me. He looked at every leader of these nations in the eyes and said, look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. Right? That's why he got so many crowns, right? It says, his eyes were as flame as fire, and his head were many crowns, because he conquered these nations. That's how you get crowns. A boxer, when you see a boxer come out with all those belts on them, they got like 4 or 5 belts. They got all those different belts because they conquered those divisions to get those belts. So Christ have all these crowns because he conquered these nations when he come, right? And it says, his eyes were a flame of fire, and his head was many crowns, and he had the name written that no man knew but himself, right? And it says, and his clothes, and he was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God, Yahushai. That's the name that nobody didn't know, because there's blood covering his man. You couldn't see it, right? You're looking up, you see somebody up in the, in the sky, they got some type of lettering on their clothing, but you can't really see it. But then as he get close, you're like, oh, that's who that is, right? It says, and his name was called the Word of God, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon a white horse, clothed with the fine white and clean, right? Because he came with the millions and millions of angels with him, right? And it says, and out of his mouth goes a sharp sword. With it he shall smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treaded in the winepress of the fierce and the wrath of the Almighty God. Like we read in Isaiah 63, he treaded the winepress, meaning he massacred these nations. That's why his clothes were stained in blood when we read in Isaiah 63, right? So, and it says, he treaded the winepress of the fierce and wrath of Almighty God, and he have on his vesture and on his thigh the name written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And again, how did he get that? Because he went to all 7 continents and crushed them, right? And said, "Give me that." You know what I'm saying? Hey, who's the boss over here? All right, punched him in the face, took that. You know, that's how he got down, right? And then it says, where we at? Boom, boom, boom. And it says, boom, boom, boom. All right, let's jump down to, go to 18. And it says, that ye may eat the flesh of the kings and the flesh of the captains and the flesh of the mighty men and the flesh of the horse and them that sat on them and the flesh of all the men, both free and bond, small and great. So, like I said, it's going these people that is going to get punished for their iniquities and them coming up against the people of Israel, and the Mashiach Yahushua is going to get laid to rest right where they stand, right? Then it says, and I saw the beast and the king of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So, America, right, they're going to be fighting their fight, you know. And when I mean America, I'm talking about, like, not this continent America, because, you know, they have military garrisons all over the world, you know, and got 700 and something bases all over the world. So this landmass might be destroyed, well, is going to be destroyed in this coming war. But of course, they still operating on these satellite spots that they have their bases at, right? So they're still going to be somewhat functioning. They're just not going to have a country, right? Because, you know what I mean? Because it's told us in Isaiah, you know, we're going to take them captive who captives we were. So it's going to be a few of them left, right? Because, I mean, that's where we're going to get the captives from, right? And it says, where am I? Boom, boom, boom. And it says, and I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Right? And it says, and the beast was taken with him and the false prophet and wrought with miracles. Right? So, now the beast is America. I mean, the beast is NATO. And they're, you know, allied countries with him. Taken with him and the false prophet. The false prophet is their religious institutions, i.e. Christianity, Catholicism, and then we can take it a step further. Their philosophies, their ideologies that they push, you know, and throughout the world. All that is going to be taken all together, right? And it says, in the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. So they're leaders, you know, that convince the people, like, yeah, this is the way, you know, we're going to go to war and all, you know, whatever mechanisms they use to convince the people, to get people to follow their agenda. And it says, the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. So, again, these people are going to be cast into that lake of fire, burning with brimstone. That lake of fire we know as to be America, because this place is going to be burnt to a crisp. And then, you know, you also have, we had in Israel, outside of the city, you know, we have a garbage dump thing where they, you know, will burn all the garbage and stuff, right? They call it Sheol, right? You go there, you know, so that some people would say that's where they're going to be tossed at. But regardless, they're going to be tossed in that lake of fire alive, right? And the lake of fire is not hell, because it just told us that the beast was taken with him and the false prophet and the wrought miracles in which he deceived them in the mark of the beast and worshipped them and worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. Right? So like wait, their whole concept is going to be destroyed. It's no more how this global system is being ran. It's going to be over with. No more of their little religious stuff. Always, it's going to be over with. Their propaganda, none of that. Going to be non-existent. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which proceed out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So, like I said, so this is, they're going to be destroyed when they come up against the real one, the Mashiach Yahweh Shai and his people. Going to be destroyed in that day, right? And that's how it goes, right? And so all we got to do is just keep the faith in the Mashiach Yahweh Shai, keep the commandments, and watch how all this play out. Because again, this is the Most High God movie. He already know how he wants us to play out. We just have to play our part. And we play our part by keeping the faith, law, statutes, and commandments. So, again, hopefully that was, edifying. We got a little understanding of where we at in this thing, how it's going to unfold. We have no worries because the Most High God fight for us. As long as we understand that, everything will be cool. So we're going to say shalom, peace. Until next time, we out.